Hey gamers, it's G from the corner, and today we'll be taking a look at the long-awaited The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, finally available exclusively on Nintendo Switch. And let me tell you, just right off the gate, I have been enjoying the crap out of this game. Fair warning, I haven't beaten the game. I know I did this last time, but this game is massive. I'm over 50 hours in, and I feel like I've played enough of what this game has to offer to form a general opinion on the title. First of all, I was never a big Zelda fan. I just want to get that out of the way. For the longest time, I was never into like mainline Zelda whatsoever. For years, friends would be like, "Oh, why haven't you played this Zelda? Why haven't you played that Zelda?" I don't know. I was always deterred from the series. This actually was the first Zelda game I've ever picked up at launch. Even Breath of the Wild, I got a Switch, but I didn't pick it up because I just wasn't into Zelda. But in recent years, I finally started playing through some of the games. I played through Skyward Sword HD, Wind Waker HD, and Ocarina of Time in the last few years, and I think I finally got it. However, I was interested to see how I felt about this game, because Breath of the Wild is very different from those games, and similarly is Tears of the Kingdom. So I was wondering, am I going to enjoy this game as much as I enjoyed those other 3D Zeldas, or as much as I enjoyed Breath of the Wild, which I played a little while. I did pick it up like shortly after, but not like right at launch. I want to say it was like 2018 or something, and I did try the game, and it gave me a wow factor, like of just, oh man, this world is huge, I could do so much. But that eventually wore off after a little while of playing. So how would I feel about Tears of the Kingdom? Would I be wishing it was more like traditional Zeldas, or would I love it as is? Well, let's get right into it. So there is so much to say about this game. Like, genuinely so much. I honestly don't even know exactly where to start. Okay, let's start from the beginning. Tears of the Kingdom kind of parallels Breath of the Wild in a lot of ways right from the start. There's a very engaging opening segment where, you know, it's that sort of Metroid thing where Link is fully upgraded from the last game, but he loses all of his abilities in a cutscene, and you're kind of sent back to square one. But the whole opening segment is very similar to the Great Plateau in Breath of the Wild. You are given this open area in the sky to explore, you run into a character, they tell you to go do some shrines, and that give you the new abilities. And yeah, but honestly, immediately I just could tell this is it's structured very similarly right from the start, but this is a very different experience. The abilities Link has are no longer just like an extra thing like they were in Breath of the Wild. They are the game. Ultra Hand is incredible. If you checked out our recent video showcasing some hilarious creations that me and some friends have made in the game, you'll know that for sure. Ultra Hand allows you to solve puzzles and make contraptions in all sorts of wild ways I never thought possible. It's absolutely insane. Changes how the game plays completely. Recall allows you to if something has been flung off the stage, you can just rewind it back. Enemies are throwing projectiles at you, you can rewind it back. You want to attach something to a platform that needs to be held in midair, you can rewind it back. You want to go through it. What I like to do now is I'll hold a platform up in the air, and then I'll use rewind on it to send it back into the air and then ascend through it, allowing me to get some extra height in maybe a shrine puzzle or something. I could go on, and then ascend, that's another crazy one. You can just go through a ceiling to reach the top floor. Like, genuinely, that is such an insane ability. It's one of those, like, wild dream abilities I would come up with for a video game when I was, like, 7. Like, oh, you could go through the ceiling and you come out on the roof. That would be crazy. And they did something like that, and it works really well. It's insane to me how well all of these abilities, like, work. Fuse, you can now fuse. All the weapons in the game are now kind of ruined and disheveled, and they aren't as strong as they once were in Breath of the Wild, but that's okay because you can now fuse weapons to materials. So instead of just being like, oh, I found a weak weapon, I can't do anything with that, it's more so, oh, all the weapons are kind of around the same range. What good materials do I have in my inventory that I could attach? Oh, I got this one that makes it into a really strong hammer, and this one that makes it into a strong blade, but it has a fire property. You know, like, there's so many, and it's not like you're just sticking materials onto, like, your swords. That's what I kind of thought it was going to be, but there's actual, like, redesigns of the swords depending on the materials. There's these enemies called constructs, which are basically these green robot things, and you fight them, and they will drop, like, their little horns, and you can put those onto your swords, and it makes them into what are called, I guess, Zonai swords. Like, they literally are just these green and gold blades. It completely changes how your swords look, and it's so cool. It's just, the mechanics are incredible. And, you know, because of that, everything around the game kind of follows suit like a domino effect. The shrines in Breath of the Wild, I was never the biggest fan of. I genuinely was having a conversation with a friend before this game came out that they needed to get rid of shrines because they just were not fun whatsoever. But, like, you know, you would have a lot of the same puzzles. Just I swear, after a while, I would go to a shrine and be like, I wonder what's in here. Oh, it's the combat chamber. Either I have good weapons and I could cheese it, or I have no weapons and I'm screwed. Like, one or the other. And it was always obnoxious. This time, the shrines are just so much fun. Every time I either want to do it, I'm either curious by the puzzle and I want to try and do it the way the game wants, or I'm just like, no, you know what? I could do this how I want to do it, actually. I'm just going to cheese the entire thing. And the aforementioned moving platform ascending while recall ascending to the top, that's where that kind of crap comes into play. It's insane. It's honestly just insane. And even outside of just how the abilities are used, everything in this game was just blowing me away constantly. For the first, like, week or so, I genuinely kept thinking, I think I've seen it all, I think I've seen all this game has to offer, and then, bam, hands are coming out of the ground and trying to kill me out of nowhere. Caves with tons of weird enemies and goop that makes you lose health permanently, well, temporarily, permanently, until you can, like, go somewhere else. There's just so much. That wow factor that lasted a few days, maybe even just a few hours with Breath of the Wild, that has been going on, that's still hitting. I want to say it's kind of like starting to lose its luster a little bit. Like, I'm enjoying the game, obviously, and I think it's incredible, but, you know, obviously playing it for 3 weeks, I've kind of gotten used to it, which is going to make playing other games that are not as good very hard, and I might become extremely impatient for other minute issues that this game solves, because that's the thing here. Breath of the Wild is one of those games that people laud as like the perfect video game, one of the greatest games of all time. And this game looks at that game and thinks it's like a 6 out of 10. Everybody hated it. Everybody hated how the dungeons sucked and the shrines were boring, so we're going to fix that. You know? I didn't even talk about the dungeons. So, you know, in the previous game, they had those divine beasts where you'd kind of just run around a samey-looking ruin based on an animal, and you would, like, activate these switches. They've kind of brought back actual dungeons, but, you know, more like, it's a combination, right? The goal is just like shrines to go to certain points on the map and activate certain structures. But instead of just, you know, instead of them all looking the same, they all look different, they have very varied designs, you know. A lot of times I remember in the fire dungeon specifically, I would try and get around simply by gliding all over the place. I would just be like, I don't want to waste my time climbing, like doing the puzzles how they want me to do them. I can just glide over here, glide over there. It's great. And of course, there's actual bosses at the end of the dungeons. In Breath of the Wild, you would just fight these sort of blights that Ganon made. They were like these weird looking ruined construct alien dudes. They were kind of all the same. They were very samey. The fights weren't that fun. It was always just, hey, you want to hit his eye. You want to hit the eye all the time. You want to hit the tiny little speck of an eye he has, because that'll do a lot of damage. And that's the only way you're going to do that much damage. But in this game, actual boss fights. And they are all phenomenal. They are all honestly so much fun. At least, you know, what I've played so far. That's the thing. I've gotten through 4 of the dungeons in the game. I'm not sure how many more there are. I doubt my opinion's going to change much. I feel like I'm really enjoying the game and I want to see it to the end at this point. Even if the game is like genuinely worse than anything I've played in another 3D Zelda. Look, if it is that bad, then maybe I'll consider doing a follow-up video. But, you know, I don't see how the game could teeter off a cliff that hard at the point I'm at. Alright? Like, genuinely, it's incredible. I've been enjoying myself so much with this game. I'm saying it's highly recommended. That honestly sounds like nothing at this point. Even 3 weeks out, everybody already knows, yeah, the game's a masterpiece. The game's a 10 out of 10. It's the game of the year. It's the best game that will come out in 2023, hands down. Alright, I feel like I'm going to do a game of the year video at the end of the year, and it's going to be like, well, what'd you expect? Of course it's Zelda, because this is incredible. Like, you know, we all thought, oh, 6 years on a sequel, an asset flip sequel, that'll be out in like 2-3 years. And then they said, oh, well, you know, it'll take about as long as Breath of the Wild, and people were starting to get worried that, oh, what if that means it's not content rich enough? No, it was definitely content rich enough, I'll tell you that. There is so much happening in this game. There is so much to do. Alright, genuine, like, every little issue from Breath of the Wild has been fixed. Every single one of them. There's all this cool new stuff. Any major criticism I could come up with, like anything I could say like, oh, the game's taking too long, or oh, this, oh, I'm not like super into it and I want to do other things right now. These are just extreme. These, like, literally is the most biased crap I could say. Like, I don't really love open world games that much, but the fact that I can even say that this game is amazing, it's got to be very, like, an open world game has to be very special to stand out in my mind. And this game does it. It's genuinely a masterpiece. It might be the best Zelda game ever made. I'm not sure. Maybe I need to go back and play some of the other ones that I've missed, but I'm kind of feeling that right now. And honestly, I'm incredibly pleased to see Nintendo turn out such an amazing experience, and I cannot wait to see what the Zelda team does next, whether we're waiting 6 years, 10 years, however long it takes. Genuinely, congratulations, I have to applaud the team on this effort. But yeah, that's going to wrap up today's video. Hope you all enjoyed this review. I'll catch you guys on the next video, and keep it locked right here to the corner for more gaming reviews, coverage, vlogs, anything of the sort. See you guys.